The math of mercy had run out. On the high ledge of Hebron, Abraham had bargained divine judgment all the way down to 10 righteous souls. But as twilight fell over the Jordan Valley, the cold reality set in. Sodom did not even contain 10. The city was not a place of tragic, accidental compromise. It was a cauldron of systemic cruelty and violent injustice. When the two angelic messengers stepped into the city square, the moral rot of Sodom exposed itself instantly. Men from every quarter of the city, young and old, rich and poor, surrounded Lot's house, demanding to brutalize the strangers. In a desperate, horrific attempt to appease the crowd, Lot offered his own daughters, a chilling testimony to how deeply the moral toxicity of Sodom had infected his own soul. When the mob surged forward to break down the door, the angels struck. Reaching out into the dark, they dragged Lot inside, slammed the heavy timber shut, and struck the entire crowd with blinding light. The mob was left groping in the dark, frantic yet completely impotent, clawing at the walls of the very house they sought to destroy. The angels issue an absolute, non-negotiable warning: flee immediately. The judgment of heaven is descending. Lot runs to his prospective sons-in-law, begging them to leave, but they laugh in his face, treating his frantic warnings like an absurd joke. And then comes the most human, tragic detail in the entire text. As the first faint light of dawn breaks over the mountains, Lot hesitates. He lingers. He freezes. He is paralyzed by his attachment to his wealth, his position, and his luxury. He cannot bring himself to walk away from the empire he spent decades building. And right here, Genesis gives us one of the most remarkable displays of divine mercy in all of Scripture. God does not leave Lot to burn in his hesitation. The text records that the angels literally grabbed Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hands, because the Lord was merciful to them, and dragged them out of the city. They dragged them past the city gates, casting them out into the open plain with a singular, razor-sharp command: flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. As Lot reaches the small town of Zoar, the sky above the Jordan Valley completely collapses. The text records that the Lord rained down burning sulfur from the heavens upon Sodom and Gomorrah. This was not a localized fire. It was a total, catastrophic environmental annihilation. The underground bitumen pits ruptured, the atmosphere ignited, and the entire plain, all 4 cities, their populations, their architecture, and every blade of grass in the soil, was instantly vaporized. The lush, green paradise that Lot had chosen with his greedy eyes back in Genesis 13, the valley he thought looked like the garden of the Lord, was turned into a toxic, lifeless salt crater in a matter of minutes. And then comes the tragedy within the tragedy. Despite the explicit command of the angels, Lot's wife pauses on the trail. She turns and looks back toward the roaring fires of Sodom. This was not a glance of curious spectacle. It was a look of deep, heartbreaking longing. Her heart was still buried in the luxury, the status, and the security of the city she was leaving behind. She refused to let go of the world God was saving her from, and in that moment of backward-looking rebellion, she was consumed, transformed into a permanent pillar of salt on the desolate plain. Early that same morning, miles away in the cool highlands, Abraham wakes up. He walks back to the high ledge where he had stood the evening before, where he had pleaded for the salvation of the city. He looks out over the edge. Abraham stares into the smoldering crater. He realizes the math had failed. There were not 10 righteous people in the valley. The cities of the plain were gone. Yet, as the camera pulls back from the old patriarch standing alone on the windy cliff, the text drops a quiet, breathtaking sentence that reshapes the entire narrative. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe. Lot was not saved by his own righteousness, his wisdom, or his character. He was dragged out of the fire because a righteous man stood on a cliff and prayed for him. In the immediate aftermath of the apocalyptic destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham packs up his vast nomadic encampment. The lush valley he once overlooked is now a toxic, smoking wasteland. He migrates south into the harsh, arid expanse of the Negev, settling between Kadesh and Shur, in the royal territory of Gerar. Look closely at what happens the moment Abraham enters this new jurisdiction. He is 99 years old. He has personally defeated Eastern kings, bargained with the Almighty on a cliffside, and carried the covenant mark of circumcision in his flesh. Yet, as he approaches the gates of Gerar, fear grips him. He looks at the local ruler, King Abimelech, and falls straight back into a 25-year-old defense mechanism. It is the exact same scheme he pulled in Pharaoh's court in Genesis 12. Once again, he turns to his 90-year-old wife and says, "Tell them you are my sister." Think about the staggering recklessness of this lie. Sarah is currently carrying the divine timeline toward the birth of Isaac. The 12-month countdown announced by the 3 heavenly visitors is actively ticking away. And right at the finish line, Abraham's fear of man overrides his faith in God. He sacrifices his wife's safety and the purity of the promise just to buy himself a temporary sense of security. Enter Abimelech, king of Gerar. In the Bronze Age Near East, when a powerful, wealthy nomadic chieftain entered a new territory, it was standard political protocol for the local king to form a treaty by taking a female relative into his royal court. Seeing a wealthy nomad with an unmarried sister, Abimelech makes his move. He sends for Sarah and takes her directly into his royal harem. For a quarter of a century, the entire story of Genesis has been driving toward one singular event, the birth of the legitimate heir through Sarah. Now, Sarah is trapped inside a foreign palace, integrated into a pagan harem, waiting to be taken by a Canaanite king. If Abimelech touches her, the lineage of the covenant is corrupted forever. The father of faith has completely surrendered the steering wheel, leaving the promise of God hanging by a thread in a foreign bedroom. Abraham is asleep in his tent, completely unaware or willfully ignorant of the crisis. But the God who keeps the promise does not sleep. God does not appear to Abraham to scold him. He descends directly into the nightmare of the pagan king. In the dead of night, God confronts Abimelech in a dream. The opening line of the divine dialogue is cold, immediate, and utterly terrifying. "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Imagine waking up in the dark to hear the creator of the universe informing you that your life is forfeit. But Abimelech, who had not yet approached Sarah, responds with a staggering defense. He appeals directly to heaven's justice. "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister,' and didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Look at the profound irony of this courtroom in the dark. A pagan king, who does not know the covenant or the law, stands before God and defends his moral integrity, and God agrees with him. God responds to Abimelech, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her." Notice the invisible hand of providence at work. While Abraham was lying and scheming, God was actively restraining a pagan king's desires to protect the purity of Sarah. The promise was never saved by Abraham's cleverness. It was saved by God's sovereign intervention behind closed doors. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all who belong to you will die. Think about how absurd this must have sounded to the king. God identifies Abraham as a prophet, a holy representative of heaven, whose prayers are needed to save Abimelech's life. Yet this same prophet had just lied to the king's face, put his own wife in danger, and brought a divine death sentence down upon an entire kingdom. The structural reversal is complete. The pagan king acts with higher moral ethics than the prophet of God, yet God still uses the flawed prophet as the instrument of intercession. Early the next morning, a shaken Abimelech leaps out of bed. He summons his council of officials, and when he tells them the dream, absolute terror sweeps through the palace. Then, Abimelech calls Abraham into the court. This is one of the most embarrassing confrontations in sacred history. A pagan ruler places the man of faith on the witness stand and delivers a blistering, righteous rebuke. "What have you done to us? How have I sinned against you that you have brought such great guilt upon my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never be done." Abraham has no theological grandstanding left. He stands exposed in the public square, dismantled by the moral clarity of an unbeliever. And listen to his pathetic three-part defense. First, he shifts the blame onto the locals. I thought to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. The supreme irony, of course, is that there was far more fear of God in Abimelech's heart than there was in Abraham's strategy. Second, he uses a technicality. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father though not of my mother. A half-truth designed to deceive is still a total lie. Third, he reveals that this wasn't a sudden lapse in judgment, but a settled lifestyle of distrust. When God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, "This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother." Abraham admits that for 25 years, throughout his entire spiritual journey, he kept this cowardly backup plan in his back pocket just in case God failed to protect him. Look at how King Abimelech responds. He does not execute Abraham. He does not cast him out in chains. Instead, with astonishing dignity and royal grace, Abimelech lavishes Abraham with gifts, sheep, cattle, male and female servants, and 1,000 pieces of silver to publicly clear Sarah's name and restore her honor before the entire region. He turns to Sarah and says with gentle, dignified irony, "I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." The text reveals that because of Sarah, the Lord had completely closed every womb in Abimelech's household. The entire kingdom had been struck with sudden, complete divine barrenness. So Abraham, the compromised prophet who doubted God's ability to open his own wife's dead womb, steps out into the courtyard, lifts his hands, and prays for the pagan kingdom. And God hears him. God heals Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves so they can bear children again. God uses a compromised patriarch to pray for foreign wombs to be opened, demonstrating his absolute power over human biology right before the main event. By protecting Sarah from the touch of Abimelech, God ensured that there would be zero doubt in human history about the paternity of the child to come. The wombs of Gerar are opened. The lingering doubts are cleared. The stage is completely set for the very next sentence of Scripture. After 25 years of waiting, laughing, failing, and lying, the Lord visits Sarah as he had said, and the miracle baby is finally born. Following this step-by-step chronological journey through Genesis, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us your thoughts on Abraham's failure in Gerar in the comments below. Because the long silence is officially broken, Isaac is about to take his first breath, and Hagar is about to face her final exile. We'll see you in the next episode.